Hey y'all, I am VictorE and I help provide insight to empower. And if you're anything like me, then you may have grown up feeling the ill effects of religion. I think I think there's a lot of truth in every religion, and there's also a lot of distortion and corruption in belief systems in general. When I was at Standing Rock, one of the rules was that you couldn't bring any isms to the camp, to the site, to that place in general. Leave your beliefs behind, and it's more like bring an open mind and an open heart. And I find that's what's helped me in life in general a lot, is to leave my experiences at the door and meet each day a little more openly with a little bit more curiosity. So I can hang up my hangups about religion. And this video is directly made to shed a little light on what people tend to call ascended masters or beings of light or angels even. Now, to me, I like to approach things from a more practical and practically valuable, practically applicable approach. So for me, religion and not engaging with things directly, just leaving things and people and saying, God will take care of them, is a little troublesome. The way I see it, we're here to help. We're here to help each other. And so when I think of, the way my mom was just very tyrannical and abusive with religion, it made me turn away from it. And on a spiritual level, it's kind of like the causal potentializing way in which I came to have a very personal relationship with myself and with life. Not with anything intangible, but with everything that is. So when, I got into like this spiritual practice of reframing what archetypal things are, what, evil spirits are, what deities are, extraterrestrials even. It was hard for me because I came from a more atheistic background, or at least anti-religious background, anti-woo. So when the subject of ascended masters came up, it was daunting. It was kind of alienating to me. And there was a big part of my ego that just wouldn't allow it. But I was in meditation just now and allowing my mind to wander without having to police it, without having to control it, and just observing where it went with all of the information that's been floating around up to date. And what came to mind was, it's a lot like a college professor. Some students don't like certain professors, other students love certain professors and swear by them and are very evangelical even. So when it comes time to learn from a certain professor, to me it comes back to hanging up my hangups and approaching that professor. And I've had some college professors who I didn't really get along with. And especially at the time, under the frame of mind that I was, being, fresh out of the Marines and feeling like, I don't know, I deserved but didn't deserve special treatment. felt like I deserved a break or something, even though I wasn't the one giving myself a break, right? The universe helps those who help themselves, that kind of thing. So I was like very biased and very quick to judge, quick to have my ego kick in. So maybe like very good professors, given the time and frame of mind and belief systems that we're in, we can end up repelling them. We can end up being the ones who, talk shit about them, when really they might be good professors, just not good for us at that time. So when people, today, like when people talk about Jesus, it's it's a little triggering. But I'm coming to see that like this figure that people regard as a savior is much more like a teacher that they really, really love, that really showed up for them and helped them in ways that they needed. Buddha was one. For me, someone who, when I was in the Marines and very anti-religious, every Sunday we would have, like it was like the religious day. And I tried to go to church and it was just like not for me, for sure. But they had Buddhist, I don't know, like meetings or whatever, and it was really chill. It was the first time I was ever exposed to that kind of thing, and I was drawn to it. And it was all about just like, instead of somebody talking at us and telling us what is or what isn't, it was a place where people guided me into states of relaxation. Right? We just sat there and kind of, given how stressful boot camp was, it was really nice. And it was something that stuck with me. And even then there was like a lot of like the guide, the one in charge of us, who was one of us, one of the recruits, the Boots, the leader of us Boots, the Lord of the Flies. He was also going to that Buddhist thing, but he's also like, let's radiate positivity and love. And I'm like, oh, okay, dude, you lost, you lost me. But I was also very much in that state of disbelief in that positivity or love was a good thing. To me, love was getting hurt by those who I needed most. That's what love was to me. And in still some ways can be. And something that I'm working through. But there's this quote that's been in the back of my mind for a little bit, and it's, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. And there are a lot of, let's say, archetypal teachers who are just kind of hanging around. They've done their work on this physical plane, and they no longer had to occupy such a vibrationally dense vessel. And so today I'm going to introduce some to you that may have been wanting to, or may have been like, knocking on your door to help guide you. And so all I'm being called to ask you to do is to take a deep breath, allow your body to relax. Deep breath in, allow your body to relax. Deep breath in, and on this next one, slow and controlled on the exhale. Allow your breath to come back to normal as I say these names, as I speak the names of these teachers. The first one, I-R-I-O-M, idiom, idiom, idiom. It's like idiom, but with an R. So whenever you want to learn from this teacher, take 3 deep breaths. On that last breath, slow and controlled on the exhale. Speak the name a few times. And it's like inviting that presence. You can rewatch this video. And instead of trying to visualize who this person or what this being might look like, simply allow their presence. Clearing up some karma, some memories, some old beliefs. My dog, keeping it safe. See what that presence does to you. For me, I take this as synchronistic, right? Not coincidence. Like my dog is barking, and that's like something that's happening in real time for me, is that my dog is barking, and I'm mentioning this teacher, idiom, and this is a teacher who also goes by the name Jesus. So like the one that we've called in our society as Jesus has this other name, idiom. And so that brings up in the background like a lot of stuff with my mom and a lot of that baggage that I was talking about. So what I say is synchronistic or like divinely timed here is how my dog barking is kind of agitating, irritating to me. And I say it's not coincidence because, you know, there's these beliefs that have been stored in my body. And as I mention this name that is associated with Jesus and Christianity, that stuff is coming up to be felt, to be loved. It's like Matt Kahn says, look up Matt Kahn, still a living teacher. Whatever arises, love that. And so when we talk about, you know, evil spirits or entities, there's this show with Simon Pegg where he's like, I think it was Simon Pegg, or like the guy that he usually works with from Hot Fuzz. Evil spirits usually have this look about them, and that we can picture as like caked on darkness and resentment and you know, evil we can think of as, you know, like violence or just low vibrational dense energies. And so when we direct love and light towards these entities, towards these beings, that darkness gets cleared away and we see that beautiful person, that beautiful spirit and soul that was trapped underneath all of that. Yeah. Something else Matt Kahn has shared is, thank you for helping me. So, you know, my dog and religion and this baggage kind of living in me, irking me, irritating me, I say thank you for helping me, because this is teaching me to be more present, more loving, and a lot more patient. So idiom is an ascended master. You can call him Jesus. Another one, one of my personal favorite is Ramtha, Ramtha. Ramtha is like always just so loving and positive, and cheering on humanity as he helps and guides a lot of people towards these higher vibrational states, and towards being very gentle and loving with ourselves especially. It's usually who needs it the most. So Ramtha, again, you can just say the name Ramtha, teach me, guide me, that kind of thing. And observe, see how it feels, see how you feel, observe what comes to mind. Observe spiritual ego, something to be aware of. Another ascended master, feminine presence, mistress, Nada, Nada. And what I'm being called to share about this ascended master, Nada, is nada in Spanish means nothing, but it's more like in the sense of space. So when we think of space, we think of, this vast nothingness. But really, it's this infinite container for all of reality. So when we even think of, what comes to mind is, the God hole, the God-sized hole that people try to fill with all sorts of things that tend not to serve, hopefully in ways that do serve. Sitting instead of filling, sitting with this vast emptiness, this vast space, can be uncomfortable, but that uncomfortable, that discomfort, we can reframe as growing pains. So when you think of like nothingness or emptiness, think of space and how that holds everything that is, was, or will be. And see what comes to mind. Comment in the comment sections. I can't do this on my own for sure. So comment what comes to mind when you feel, or when I speak about these ascended masters. I got this taste in my mouth, in the back of my throat, like perfume, but like not in a bad way. It's just a hint of it. It's a pretty good taste. And it feels directly tied or related to this next ascended master, again a feminine ascended master, whose name is Yum, Y-U-M. And to me, whenever I picture her, she's a very kind, smiling Asian woman, kind of small, thin, around her like middle age, or like middle age for a human. Feel movement in my body. So it's something that I notice. The energy in my body is moving. Something's kind of like ascending in my body. Yum. Yum. Feel the love, feel the light. Anything that has to do with ego, we transmute that. We surround it, envelop it in love and light, harmonize it, neutralize it, elevating our vibrational frequency, expanding our consciousness. The next Ascended Master coming in to be shared with you is Enoch, E-N-O-C-H, Enoch. This Ascended Master has a lot to do. He's kind of like the librarian for the Akashic Records, if you've ever heard of that. Which, if you're watching this, you probably have. If not, I invite you to look it up. It's the library, the record of everything that's ever been thought, felt, any action that's ever taken place. This is the vibrational record of all of that. And if you ever want to look into past lives, that's kind of what helps us access that. It's been referred to as a living memory, like a living memory bank. Vibrationally, everything that ever was, anything that is, anything that ever will be, exists in the Akashic Records. If you're watching this video, what's coming in is that when you sleep tonight, in the coming nights, you may visit them. So it can help to set the intention to remember your dreams, or you just might have some wild ass dreams. Another Ascended Master is Paramahamsa Yogananda. He's a more recent master and is the one who brought yoga to the Western world. So it's a lot more recent. And if you've ever heard of or are interested in some reading material, Paramahamsa Yogananda wrote Autobiography of a Yogi. Steve Jobs would read this, I think, once or more than once a year, and he's credited it to some of his success. Paramahamsa Yogananda. His master was Lahiri Mahasaya. Oh, no, I'm butchering the name. We can leave that name for another time. Paramahamsa Yogananda. Start with that guy. Krishna is also an Ascended Master. Someone who's worked with me in the past. Very light skin, out of India. I'm transmuting some karma to those of you watching this video. Made it this far. Congratulations. You're not leaving empty-handed, kind of. Oh, Creon is the Ascended Master of magnetism, electromagnetism. So you can, a lot of the ways they've shown up in my life is through understanding polarities and the like energetic polarities. So a lot of this, one of the ways in which like electromagnetism and magnetism has been framed is through yin yang, masculine, feminine energies, right? Me as a predominantly masculine being, I also have feminine energies, right? This, well, not that one, but that is mine, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine, right? Creativity, intuition, receptivity, allowing, surrendering, flowing. These are feminine energies, but I'm capable of them. You're capable of them, right? Energy and flow is more of a yin concept. Structure, rigidity, leadership, asserting, penetrating. These are yang or masculine concepts, and it's nothing to get hung up on. It's just something to to consider, to have as a reference point, and helps us to better understand the world around us. Consciousness itself is non-binary. It's very quantum in nature. But here in the, we can call it like a dualistic binary plane, there are more apparent, more obvious ways in which the masculine shows up and which the feminine shows up. But it's like a spectrum, right? There's no, there isn't much. There is and there isn't. Again, non-dual, non-binary. There is and there isn't fixed ways in which the yang, masculine, and yin, feminine energies, polarities show up. But again, these are polarities. They're two ends of the spectrum. But let's always keep in mind that there is just this vast space in between. If you're looking, again, for reading material, this is one that I'm reading. Again, Kryon, Kryon, The Journey Home. It's backwards, but yeah, The Journey Home. Great book. Great book. The story of Michael Thomas and the Seven Angels. I skipped into chapter 3, and I'm on like chapter 4 or 5 now. But each one he goes to like a different house. And at each house, there's a different sort of guide, elevated being or angel who has a new lesson for him, or a gift. Not every thing we go through in life is a harsh lesson. A lot of the things that help us to grow and evolve are gifts. To me, one of my gifts that I get and that I get to receive, feminine energy, is to be heard and to be seen in who I truly am as a person. So if you're watching this, thank you for seeing, thank you for listening. That's a tremendous gift that helps me to shake off old beliefs about not deserving to be heard and to be seen. So I thank you for that, and I love you for that. Appreciate you. So let's cry on. Talk about idioms less Jesus. Buddha is also an ascended master, and he wasn't fat. I don't know why that's important to say. Maybe self-conscious about it. Wanted me to tell you. There's the flower sermon. Is one of his more famous things. And the sacred rage, which if you think of like Jesus and him like kicking out, it was like I think it was like bankers or some people. I forget what the story was, but like he kicked some people out of church, and Buddha was angry or yelled at some people, and it's something that I've seen in today's mainstream guru-isms, is that a guru or enlightened person can't get mad, or they're not allowed. But there's this thing called the sacred rage or the sacred anger, And it's that anger that arises within us, um, that expresses itself in a very loving way, right? And so if people are doing or acting in a very corrupt and unjust way, that sacred anger is what takes us into the streets, and it drives a lot of protests. It drives a lot of holding people accountable. Sometimes it gets to that point where, humanity gets complacent, wants to turn the other cheek towards, human suffering, towards injustice, towards corruption. So that sacred rage, sacred anger, that's when it starts to come up and swell in society, so that we can clean out these bastards, these corrupt individuals. But yeah, the flower sermon, the Buddha just like held up a flower in front of his disciples, and everybody was like looking at it, and he was just looking at it, just looking at this flower. And so one of his disciples was like looking at it and looking at Buddha, looking at the flower, looking at Buddha. And it said that's when the insight or the lesson was transmitted, and the disciple got it. He understood. To me, this is something that I interpret as, there is no such thing as an ugly flower. Right? A flower has this, that's what this tattoo is about. As this pattern, it is transient. And so this like Ace of Spade represents physical death. The all-seeing eye is like consciousness, looking into the world through this individual consciousness, or through this individual self, avatar, body, ego, persona, identity. And you see the Fibonacci sequence is like this sacred pattern that life grows as. Yeah. So flowers, those conches, those shells grow in that pattern. And to me, this like flower grows in that pattern. And to me, flowers and trees are sort of this expression of nature, and so are human beings. We grow in this pattern, and but yeah, that's just what that sermon feels like to me. Is like humans aren't divorced or separate or above nature. We grow in similar patterns, in these sacred geometrical patterns, similar to trees and flowers. And nature and life just has this beautiful pattern to it, and it helps us to understand what some often call divinity or sacredness of and to nature and the world and the universe, reality, and what people call God. So getting used to that word, that G word, especially faith. Talk to an atheist about faith. Oh. Oh, man, I was annoying when I was a kid. My friends can tell you. Any other Buddha? Yeah, okay. So what I'll leave you with is, don't try to force this. This is a lot more an act of allowing. It's going to take some trial and error, right? Watch that ego and wanting to be how it serves to help us see when we're trying to help ourselves feel safe and secure through this veiled attempt at totally not feeling better than others. We want to have compassion for others. We want to, like, there's no better than. Watch your reactivity. No. That's totally not me. I get it. I'm on board. Blah blah blah. Yeah, it's an act of allowing. Just see where your mind goes. Be observant. Be open. Curious. And yeah, so you can keep a journal handy. Oh, this is my sticker. I am VictorE. Boom. As an all-seeing eye and a little circle to protect it. If you can't think of anything to comment, Ascended Masters in the comment section. Like, subscribe, share, and yeah, I'll be coming out with more videos of these to help guide you through the ascension process as the Ascended Masters guide me to. If not, you won't hear from me because I'm in a state of receiving and digesting and processing. Still a lot of stuff I'm working through. I got a journal on top of my journal. If that isn't hint enough. Yeah, we're all in this together. We're all walking each other home. Yeah. You don't have to like each other, but you will get along. I'll come up with another video on that one. That's one of those sayings that I learned from the Marines. You don't have to like each other, but you will get along. We're walking each other home. All right, love you. Have a good day. I love you. Peace.